Hello, my name is Janelle Crawford.
And I'm Michael James, and we're graduate members of the Jamaica Institution of Engineers. And this is our Engineers Angle podcast, designed to give you conversations with actual engineers in the field and to broaden our horizon in terms of what's happening in engineering today. With us today,
We have our guest speaker, Gary Walters. He is a past president for the Jamaica Institution of Engineers. He's a current member on the PERB board, and he has over 20 years of experience in the civil engineering industry.
and fitting guest for our topic today.
Yes.
Which is, who actually is an engineer, right? Am I allowed to call myself an engineer, Engineer Walters?
Are we allowed to call ourselves engineers, Engineer Walters?
Yeah, you can call yourself graduate engineers.
So I should walk around saying graduate engineers.
You are engineers, but you are not professional registered engineers.
Okay. All right, we'll delve into that a little bit more. All right. So thank you for joining us, sir. All right. But Janelle, let's look at a little bit on what's happening in engineering in our world today, both locally and internationally. All right. I know what's the hot topic, or what was the hot topic maybe a few
weeks ago
is the Titan.
Yes.
All right. What happened with the Titan?
What happened with the Titan? I would love to tell you what happened with the Titan, but I feel like Gary can give us so much more information about it.
So the Titan is an experimental vessel that type of like a submarine that is used for exploration, and they went looking for the Titanic, which is in one of the deepest parts of the oceans, somewhere off the coast of Canada. Now, as you know, I think it was probably some 30 kilometers deep. The deeper you go in the ocean, the pressure. And so the vessel had a Pakistani billionaire and his son, who I hear didn't really want to go on the trip, and a well-known expert on the Titanic, and of course, like a captain for the vessel. And it lost contact to its mothership, and they were speculating that all was still well. It's just that they wanted to find it before the oxygen ran out. And so, like, it happened sometime on a Sunday, and by the Thursday, Friday, they actually found fragments of the vessel, and it is now believed that it actually imploded the same day it went down. So
the same day. So they were worrying about the oxygen running out, but in fact, on the same day when it went in, it would have.
The oxygen made for good drama for those that were following it, and they were comparing it to other disasters, like the miners getting lost and eventually found them. I think there were some school children one time that were lost and were successfully found in these deep caves and all of that. So the world was hopeful, but in reality, it probably imploded when it got to those depths that the vessel just could. But the vessel was used successfully on previous expeditions.
But for this case, though, what was the engineer's input on stuff like this, on things like this?
Well, you see, the material that was used and the ability for the material to repeatedly go to that depth was in question, because the type of pressure and forces that would be on the vessel on repeated trips, and the maintenance of the vessel came into question. Some persons had long been saying that they should not be offering this as a commercial type of adventure, because the reliability of that vessel had not yet been proven.
So what made this expedition different from previous ones? Because I also did hear that other persons would have gone on it and it would have been a successful venture, but this one happened to implode.
It was just the type of vessel, and probably This one was more in terms of like an adventure. Man has now decided to take on outer space and the deepest realms of the ocean. So you have Jeff Bezos and who's that other one with carrying people to the it says outer space, but
Elon Musk.
That guy. Yeah, Mr. Musk. Who'd want to invest with Mr. Musk? So
go one for engineering.
Yeah, so I think so. Bezos is doing it. Musk had an unfortunate launch accident, but no one died because. But they have been pushing to have more commercial expeditions of outer space and the deeper realms of the ocean.
I mean, as we grow and as we develop and as we evolve as humans, isn't that a good thing that we can use our ingenuity to explore different things more and express our engineering?
Well, part of the drive of engineering is always to challenge what God has allowed, the limits of God. At one point, we were doing supersonic jets, the Concorde, and the speed at which the Concorde was flying was making travel. It certainly reduced the time, but the environmental impact, because it was certainly burning a lot of fuel. So man always tries to push the limits and go further and beyond. But there's some ethical things to consider, which you could have for a different topic.
We'll definitely delve into that.
Get some of your biomedical engineer about some of the things that the Chinese do with genes and DNA.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yes.
All right, we'll save that one for Elizabeth. All right, and hopefully we can have you on that discussion as well, since you brought it up.
Ethical engineering?
I mean, aren't you a part of PERB as well? So.
Oh yes, I can speak on ethics.
On ethics.
Yes, but what is right and trying to sequence those types of things and trying to eliminate certain types of species. You have to be careful. You have to be careful because there's a balance that everything has to strike, and in the wisdom of the Lord, I don't think he ever made a mistake, has he?
That's true. He hasn't.
Amen. All right. So that's international.
Yes.
But locally though, I think on June 27th, a couple of weeks ago, all right, there was a report of a mini countryman, right, an EV. All right, it exploded.
An EV, for those who don't know, is an electric vehicle.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Graduate Engineer Crawford.
You're welcome.
Right. It's reported that it caught on fire while being charged.
Wow. Imagine you're at home and you're charging your car and you just go outside and you just see it in flames. Like, how does somebody feel about something like that?
And the headline says electric jitters. Right. So it's the push for EV is now in question. Electric vehicles now in question. Right. And what are you, Engineer Walters?
Team electric vehicle or team?
Well, not just that, because I think they're also recalling a few of them.
Of the EVs?
Yes, so I don't want to say officially, but I do remember seeing a report like that.
No, but we want to know, are you an electric vehicle person or a regular vehicle person?
For now, I like the internal combustion engine. It has served us well.
Okay.
Electric vehicles, certainly quite useful. Cities with smog, poor air quality, and the carbon, high incidence of carbon monoxide. So China, which traditionally has an issue, are leaders in EV. The issue of how quickly you can get the battery charged is what is being addressed. And but more specific to that incident in Kingston, without the benefit of any investigative reports, just one thing curious came at me. I read in one of the daily newspapers that a resident of Hope Pasture says that since they moved from the underground system to the overhead, he had an incident where his underground system was not appropriately terminated, and he was having an incident at his home, and he's wondering if that could have been what sparked the fire, where the underground system was not properly terminated, and the connection for the EV and to this new system, because it's very, very, very rare to have this type of electric vehicle combustion like this.
More so on the supply, not necessarily the vehicle itself. That's the concern.
Yes, the Hope Pastures has had some issues with their underground electricity and the transferring, and the person wrote and said that he discovered that his underground system was not appropriately terminated. So he raised the issue that maybe that is one of the things they need to look at in doing the investigation. Hopefully, when the investigation is concluded, it's been shared with the public.
Hopefully.
Thank you very much. Well, that's it for now for engineering news.
Yes.
All right, we'll take a break right now to, a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with you.
Contractors, do you need area lift equipment? MJ Tools and Equipment gives you affordable rental rates for man and scissors lifts, 3-ton roller compactors, skid steers, and more. For info, call 876-772-8116 or visit mjequipmentrental.com. MJ Tools and Equipment, lifting you higher.
Welcome back. All right, with us we have engineer Gary Walters, past president of the Jamaica Institution of Engineers and current member of the PERB board. All right, and also you have a couple of other titles that we didn't mention. You're chairman of what?
I was chairman of the Construction Industry Council. I'm currently a member. So the Construction Industry Council is the umbrella organization for the construction industry. So it consists of representatives from the Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica, the Jamaica Institute of Architects, the Jamaica Institute of Quantity Surveyors, the Land Surveyors Association of Jamaica, the Association of Land, Economy and Valuation Surveyors. I hope I haven't missed anybody. But yes, so we are like the PSOJ for the construction industry.
All right, good stuff. All right, now to delve in a little bit more in our discussion today of what actually is an engineer. All right, tell us, Engineer Walters, what is engineering, who are engineers, why are they important, all right? And of course, a little of how people can become engineers, actual engineers.
All right, so engineering is the application of scientific principles and mathematics to produce solutions to everyday problems. So an engineer is a problem solver. Certainly a foundation in science and mathematics is what is required. To be an engineer, you would have to do an academic course of study at one of the universities. Having completed that, you would now have to be working in the field with a professional registered engineer. And after acquiring, the Act says 2 years, but most of the time it would require 4 years of relevant experience in design and implementation of engineering projects. And then you could apply at the Professional Engineers Registration Board for your PE, for your professional registration. So the term engineering is used quite loosely. You have audio engineer, studio engineer.
Financial engineer.
Yes, that's an interesting one. So for those who can use the title as professional engineers professional PE are those that are registered. So we have to be a little bit more guarded with how we use the term engineer, but it probably will take some time because we have in the past not have been diligently protecting the image of the fraternity.
So in relation to being a professional engineer, what are some of the concerns PERB would have with persons not actually going for their licensing? So a lot of persons say they're an engineer and they're working and they're gaining the benefits of being an engineer, but they're not a professional licensed engineer.
Practicing engineering, we're not registered engineers.
Certainly that is illegal, and if you have been identified, you could be prosecuted at a resident magistrate's court. However, if you are practicing engineering and you are working with a PE, a professional engineer, you can be considered working under their seal, because they're the ones that will be reviewing and signing off on your work. And it will be expected that over time you would get your own registration. Some of our agencies are not diligent in ensuring that reports, drawings that are produced are done by appropriately qualified engineers. And we've seen some improvement in that area, but it's not where we'd like it to be. There, even the private sector, like the banks, there are all types of developments going on, and you'll drive around or you'll see the team involved, and you'll do some investigation and realize that members of that particular team are not duly qualified to be carrying out structural engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. And you would see it's being financed by a well-known financial institution with the biggest sign there. And you wonder why they'd want to put their name as being a part of a team without necessarily professional qualifications to be carrying out such works. So we've seen that, and we've actually brought them to books. It will be probably more useful if it were highlighted some more, but that's one of the unfortunate things, because you're doing a project that the public will utilize afterwards, and the public will anticipate that the appropriate regulatory bodies have ensured that this project is in compliance with all aspects of the law. And it's just unfortunate that either to ignorance or just a willful desire to cheat, that some persons will take that route. But it is something that we are aggressively addressing. So just to say that we're always mindful, and we promote to the general public how important it is that professionals be engaged. We see what's happening at Jackshill, land slippages, which is something civil engineers are quite familiar with the issues with working in those areas with the poor soil types. But we certainly don't want a tragedy. We've had building jobs where slabs have come down. So it's important that we have professionals involved, and that the financial institutions make sure, you see, in these jobs, attorneys, they make sure it's attorneys that are doing all the commercial matters, and everybody insists. But I'd like the financial institutions to reach a stage where the demand of these clients is the team carrying out the project duly qualified to be carrying out these type of services.
To linger on this topic a little bit more because we don't live in an ideal society. So you do have a few, let's say, rogue engineers who fragment the line. All right, and you do because you have that side of it, and you know you need the agencies to do their due diligence. But I want you to get a little bit more in depth in certain ways. Certain engineers might fragment the line, by loosely my use of the term, but more specifically on PERB's responsibility and what PERB has done to limit that or restrict that. Also, how the public, including institutions and other people, or the general public, can report and stuff like that to get these rogue engineers out of the system or punished duly.
Well, so one of the things is that the Professional Engineers Registration Board, we have an enforcement committee, and we scan the newspapers, the other social media for various projects, or in fact, we've seen this gentleman says he does beach creation. He has put himself in the newspaper that he creates beach, he's doing coastal engineering, and he's not duly registered, and he advertised, and we've started to investigate his qualifications to be promoting himself as such. And we've seen multi-story developments going on where when you look at the team, and we have written to them and asked them to desist or to provide further details on the competence of the persons that they've so identified. And for the most part, they would come in and put in the necessary documents to become registered. Depending on the stage of their project, some have changed members of their team that are duly qualified. So there is an enforcement team, a part of PERB, that is constantly reviewing the landscape for these type of infringes.
Is there an outlet for, let's say, the general public to check on?
There's a website with a list of all the registered engineers, and you just say you can Google PERB Jamaica, and when you get there, you put in the person's first and last name, and it will tell you if they're duly registered to carry out the works.
Awesome.
Or you can ask them for their practicing certificate. Each year, you would receive a practicing certificate.
So, yeah, fair enough. But how does it work when, or let me phrase this properly, because I'm not sure exactly how it works. So you're explaining it to me right now. If my company is registered as an engineering company, how does it work for the registered engineer and the engineers that are not registered under that company?
When your company is registered, at the time of registration, you have indicated who is the professional engineer of record that would allow the company to be registered in that particular field of engineering. So if you are called ABC engineer and you want to be registered under mechanical, you're going to ask, who is your mechanical engineering PE? Michael James. If subsequently you have added other engineers that are not registered, the company, once Michael James is still a part of the company, can still carry on. And so Michael James can practice as Michael James, and the company that he's a part of can carry it out. The other engineers are not allowed to work on their own, but they can work under the company and Michael James. If Michael James subsequently leave the company, that is why at re-registration we ask them to confirm if the engineer of record for the various disciplines are still with the companies.
Okay, so that's a lot of information on PERB, and I think it was very valuable information. I'm not sure if a lot of persons have all of this information, but for the general public and even younger persons leaving school and leaving engineering school and going into the working world, a lot of them may know about JIE, and a lot more of them are learning about PERB. So what I'd want to know is what's the connection between JIE and PERB, and how do we help show them or let them know or inform them what the connection is between them and what the differences are between them as well.
The Jamaica Institution of Engineers is an organization that represents the interests of the various disciplines of engineers, and it's a learned society. It is not a regulatory body. So they promote the profession of engineering and the fraternity at large. Surprisingly, the JIE are the ones who nominate the members of PERB. So they nominate the persons to the minister who they believe would be fit to carry out the regulation aspect of the profession of engineering using the Professional Engineers Registration Act. So the JIE will nominate, the minister would consider, and he would duly appoint them to the PERB board. So in terms of enforcement of the Professional Engineers Registration Act, that falls to PERB and the regulations as well. The JIE, it promotes the interests, it's that single voice. So if, for example, there was a bill tabled in Parliament that might have a negative repercussions for engineers, the JIE would be the one that would speak up at the Parliament and say, as a group, we believe that these particular clauses are not beneficial, and we're suggesting this and that. Just like how you have the JTA speaking up now under the teachers' bill that is being proposed, and you have the Bar Association who speak up on behalf of lawyers. So this is a profession that the body, the JIE, that speak up as a group, and you know it's unfortunate that sometimes you'll hear a person say, why should I join the JIE?
I was about to ask you that because you have a lot of young people and older persons
asking that question and they don't understand what's the significance of joining.
So they understand PERB, right? Because they have to be registered to do.
I feel like they look at PERB separate and apart from JIE instead of them working in tandem with each other.
Yeah, because there's some interpretation of the PERB Act where you don't necessarily have to be a part of the JIE to become PERB registered. Some people interpret that particular clause and say you must be a member of a body. So it's debatable, but
is there a plan to connect both institutions better in terms of regulation wise? Or it's just we're just pushing on the morals or the the mind of everybody. Join JIE because it's fun, or is that the case?
No, it's
what's the real reason why we're pushing persons to join JIE?
You see, engineering is a practice. So notwithstanding that you graduate or you receive a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Engineering, you need to be amongst your peers, learning and continuously learning about what's happening in the profession. Right? There are various things, various standards. When the Bureau of Standards want to apply a standard to Jamaica, it's not going to find Michael James. So when it wants to move from fluorescent light bulb or to LED, and those, who's going to speak? The JIE is the body who appoints a representative or reviews or gets a committee together to look before Jamaica adopt these standards. Right? Now, it is possible for Jamaica to adopt standards that are not beneficial to us. But who spoke out? The JIE is the body. So they're practicing in the profession, and we're using these standards every day. But what is allowing us to have a profession that has applicable standard? It's the JIE. The JIE working with the other standard bodies. So if you want to sit on the sideline and say, oh, let everybody else do it, but the only reason why you're able to function as effective as you are is because of the work of others, but you should come in and contribute. That's not how you don't build a profession by working on the reaping the rewards of the work done by others. You come in and you contribute, right? And it's the body that promotes engineering. So where you have these quacks engineers, just like how, you know, some people can go downtown and get braces and see them fixing them teeth, there's a body that says, no, go to an orthodontist.
Yes.
Right? So if this is not the wild, wild west. We're not living in the wild, wild west. And that type of selfish reasons, I don't even know if that person should really even make, if they're in the right profession.
What are some myths people have of engineers that we can probably debunk here, right? You know, I've heard engineers, you know, them know a lot, and go like them know everything.
What we do?
Alright, fair enough. So that myth, that's actually true. We know everything.
Well, I think a myth is that, you know, mechanical engineers think they're going to be building cars.
Wow!
That's true. I mean, every time I introduce myself as a graduate, mechanical engineer.
They ask you which car you're going to build now?
Ah.
My electrical engineering people, they ask, oh, so you can wire my house for me.
And chemical engineering has nothing to do with chemistry. So,
and industrial engineers, what do they do?
Yes, I think everybody asks that question. What do industrial engineers do?
To the discipline, but
we know what they do, but it's a question a lot of persons do ask.
It's a tough one because it at first you'd think it's part of an industry like a factory or something, and they do, but industrial engineers they look at people and the processes and movement, like even in the banking
sector, yeah.
An industrial engineer look at the flow, how you get people into the bank through the cashiers, and how quickly you can get them out, the movement. So the layout, same thing with factory, as you stated, as to what aspect you need here and why it's best. And now, because of logistics and the importance of getting goods and people to various points, it's getting even more prominent. So that's another myth about the. Well, you know, I guess I can say it, the CMU has a program that is industrial systems. A lot of youngsters, and I think CMU should clarify so that persons, they see the name of the program and that it meets their expectations, because it's not an industrial engineering program, and some people might be misled by the name. So I would encourage them to clarify what that program does and what type of career can you expect afterwards.
Interesting.
Or some other myths about engineers are that they're not good communicators or they don't like people, they're not people persons.
I mean, look at us here, we on a whole podcast, and Gary here talking, and Gary here on many interviews all over the place.
Well, what I would say is, yes, you will have you'll have persons who are not, they get bogged down. Electrical guys, always working. They don't like to talk to anybody. That's why you have the balance with the civil guys.
The civil, wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, the civil guys. We're people persons.
So run the engineering now, Engineer Walters. Don't be biased, because it's about. You mentioned the civil guys a while ago, and your face lit up.
No, well, you see, it goes.
So people have the understanding that, or people think, or the myth is, especially in Jamaica, right? The civil engineers make the most money.
Oh.
Right, because of what they do and our country and all of that. Then you might have the mechanical engineers that do maintenance.
And then fix elevator.
Or sometimes they're called technicians.
Oh yeah, so some people call it technicians, and they don't correct the newspaper.
That's interesting, right? But let us know. And you mentioned the industrial engineers. They're going out. They're in higher demand now in the banking sector, right? By my assumption.
All engineers, as a matter of fact, in the banking, and I'll speak to that some more. All right. So to get into a course of engineering study, the most difficult engineering course to get into in most universities is the electrical and computing. I guess some schools have split it now, but historically it was electrical and computing, which is one of the more difficult ones. And potential earning power, they all have aspects of it. You see, issue with civil is that civil is one of the broadest ones, right?
Broader than mechanical?
Yeah, man.
Very broad.
Yeah.
Very broad.
Yeah. But aspects of all engineering overlap. Electrical and mechanical overlap. Mechanical and civil overlap. Right? I bet you didn't know that, eh?
I did, but I'm just waiting for you to say mechanical is the better discipline.
I will get there one day. And civil and chemical overlap. Right? So you have that overlap. In a small country like Jamaica, which does not put a lot of emphasis on R&D, you can just imagine that you might find the electrical and the mechanicals getting more into routine type things. Where you look at the first world countries like the United States and those European countries, the electrical and the computing are leading in terms of new technologies, because they spend heavy in research and development. And you can certainly go into a different level in terms of earning capacity if you're a part of one of those teams. And the civil, they tend to be outnumbered because of the broadness of the field.
I know, because doing the degree for civil is easier. That's another myth, by the way.
Oh, that is easy.
That's easier than the others. Because you mentioned electrical and computing is the hardest, possibly the hardest.
I've never heard that myth before.
About civil being easier?
Yes.
That's why it's so populated.
I think the issue,
one of the easiest.
the only thing that makes the electrical is because they do, the mathematics that they do goes a little further. When I was studying, we did mathematics 1 and mathematics 2, and electrical guys would do what we call mathematics 3.
And mechanical did that as well, by the way.
but I don't want to hear them say civil is easy. I won't mention the one that they said was easy.
I know which one, but I don't want to get myself in any problems here. But yeah.
No. It's listen. Engineering is a tough course of study.
That is true. Across the board for all disciplines.
Yeah, it's a tough because you see, the mechanical and the civil will tell you about fluids. I said, what? These flow in pipes business, how it work and all. So each of them have components that can be challenging. I wouldn't focus too much on your earning potential. I would.
What?
No, the money will always come.
I like the sound of that.
The money will always come. All right? You just have to be patient, grasshopper.
Thank you, sir.
All right, yes. What is more important is that you're true to the profession and you're doing something that you enjoy. And as you go through your different
my producer
stages.
said it's a lie, by the way. Kevin says it's a lie, the money not reaching.
Kevin hasn't been in one place too long.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Kevin is a fictional character, by the way. Just in case his boss. Yeah, no man. Be true. Yeah. And find the part of it that you enjoy. Right? There's some people get into construction and it's really not for them. They don't like that aspect of it. But they think that's where the money is. No, you can there's so many other areas that you can contribute to the engineering profession. But make sure you're enjoying it. And the money will come. Don't worry about it.
So, Mr. Walters, there is an expectation versus a reality of engineering, and one thing we as young budding professional engineers would like to know is, what are engineers who especially just leave school and are going into the workforce, what are they expected to get in reality as pay versus what is being fed out there as information?
You said the money will come, but
we'd like to know what that money looks like.
In the beginning, how can I have certain figure that we can look towards, certain things we can dictate? Because to my understanding, I don't recall ever seeing a proper space structure across the board for, let's say, a certain engineers per se.
In Jamaica, at least,
So
there's nothing professional.
Yeah.
There's nothing officially out there to state.
Oh, you want to negotiate?
Yes, how do I negotiate?
There's nothing out there.
No, as a graduate, I don't think you have much leverage for.
I just take what I guess.
Yeah, you'll learn that over time.
No, man, that does sound promising.
Or what if
No, but
you're
you're a
in an
graduate.
interview and you're asked, what are you expected for your pay? Like, what's your expectation for pay? Because some interviewers do ask that question.
Yeah, and what I will say, as a graduate, your employer knows that they'll have to bring training to you to bring you up to a level that is acceptable to them, because you're just recently leaving school and you may or may not be exposed sufficiently to that particular area that you're being considered for employment. It's difficult to put a figure on that now, and let me tell you why. Prior to the government new salary scales, I probably could, because the private sector was in a particular range.
Yes.
And the public sector seems to be quite attractive now. Maybe our fictional friend Kevin can come to the public sector now. But as a junior engineer, you more than likely would get, and some companies have like an intern. You're an intern for a year, and then you're a junior engineer, and so it probably I don't know, in the range of probably $3 million. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, that's why I want to be very careful because the government scales.
It has, okay.
Yes, as probably. So there'll be some recalibration. What I will say, I don't want to focus too much on the
money?
No, I want to look at the consulting fees.
Okay.
And so many persons have gone out on their own and are doing various most of the consultancy that happens for subdivisions, right? And so for the civil, doing infrastructure work for subdivision, for the mechanical, electrical, you have these multi-story buildings, so they're going to, what do they call them, MEPs?
MEPs, yeah.
Yes, and there's that trend setting in, and we have to be careful. We ought not to drop our fees below a particular standard just to get the job.
I agree.
Because when you start to turn the industry upside down, we must value what we are worth, and our consulting fees ought not to fall below a certain minimum. Right? The GIE in the past used to have a document that would kind of guide how one ought to set its consulting fees. Maybe an appropriate time now to update it. It was a document from many, many years ago. We also had an association of consulting engineers. But, and the truth is, you have different types of entities. You have sole persons. I have companies who actually have a proper office with overheads. And the sole traders, they can be disruptive. So it is something that I have been observing, and I would really like for us to be careful in the fees that we're setting. There must be a minimum standard.
I agree. I think if there's at least a standard when people are coming in, they can, as you said, know their worth. Because sometimes if you don't know your worth, the value you put into your work also deteriorates and decreases because you're being overworked and you're overwhelmed.
Yeah, because the only way you can maintain that is to take on more work.
Yes.
So your fees are below practical levels, and the only way you can stay above water is to stay on more. Whereas it's better you keep the fees where it is appropriate for the industry, so that you can do sufficient jobs and grow your business.
On the topic of expectation and reality, what are your thoughts of migration? So, do you tend to see more students migrating for work or staying in Jamaica for work, stuff like that along those lines?
All right. I don't think the engineering profession in Jamaica suffers from that type of mass migration that you will see happening for teachers. But people do migrate for various reasons. And it's for opportunities, and what their particular interest in engineering is. You can certainly practice engineering in Jamaica and do quite well for yourself. But if you want to be an aeronautical engineer, there's no industry in Jamaica for that.
That's true.
And I don't see it happening in the near future. Michael wants to make cars, so he'll have to go to Ferrari. It's just not going to happen. But Janelle can build a high-rise, a Jamaican high-rise, a 10-story. But she's not going to build a 50-story. Jamaica's never going to get a skyscraper. It's just not going to happen. So
in the near or far future?
I don't think it's
As well?
going to happen.
no, it's not going to happen.
We're still a small country.
Yeah. I
I
mean
the
Pegasus.
understanding that
right now the tallest building in Jamaica is the Pegasus Hotel.
Apparently. I mean, to my understanding, there might be a push to go more vertical than spread. So I don't know. That's not you guys are the you're a civil engineer.
But I mean, Jamaica is also a very small country, so if you're thinking of more than 150 stories, does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it's we're not going to push that envelope. It's not likely to, and our infrastructure is not built for it. If you look at the United States, it's not every city have skyscraper, you know. It's not. Cities with skyscrapers need subways, mass transit. So think back about to those cities that have skyscrapers. How do the people move?
Subways and trains.
Yeah, you ain't gonna get no individual cars. Are Jamaicans prepared to give up their individual cars?
Absolutely not.
No, they're not.
Well, maybe, in the future you're gonna have Uber.
Well, Uber is here. What do you mean by in the future?
No. Self-driving cars. So you won't need to own a car, and you can move people quickly through the city. But I don't see that happening for.
You don't see a major change in our transportation sector?
Oh, our transportation sector has to change. It has to. We're already congested. We might have to do rail, like what you see in Miami, where you have the trains going through the middle of the lane on columns. But we can't continue this way. Everybody is owning a car, so we'll have to find a way to move people quickly.
Fair enough. Well, who's to say one can't drive the other, right? If there's a push more in for development and stuff like that, couldn't there be a push for transportation or better transportation sector? Couldn't one push the other?
Yeah, certainly it could, and the future of Jamaica, and more specifically Kingston, I don't think we're going to change the capital city. With urban redevelopment, that would come with it, because one of the key things that you've been seeing is highways, and we built a North Coast Highway with 2 lanes, and now we're about just about 20 years, and it's at capacity. And they're now looking to go 4 lanes with the North Coast Highway. So mass movement of people is really something that the country has been looking at.
All right. Let's touch on a little bit on the impact of engineers locally and internationally, right? Meaning, are engineers involved in different sectors in terms of like politics, and we mentioned a little bit on the banking sector. That's our primarily not traditionally engineering sectors. So are engineers involved in certain things, certain other sectors?
Well, a popular sector that engineers are also involved with, but not is finance. In fact, the other day I had I guess you could call it a reunion with some persons I studied with at university. One of them was a very good electrical engineer, in finance. Yeah, so he's now doing financial models. But remember, with the foundation in mathematics, it's not difficult to see engineers doing that level of financial models. So it's quite popular. Persons who have started investment houses, some of them in Jamaica, their foundation are in engineering. So that type of transition, what a course of study in engineering brings out of an individual is the ability to dissect things and find out what the root cause of the problem is, and then come up with solutions. And that is applicable to all industries. So yes, engineers will be diversifying in other areas.
And what I find interesting about engineers is I saw this statistic that said about 40% of CEOs for many large companies have a background in engineering or they were previously engineers. So the foundation that you receive as an engineer really gives you the opportunity to fit into any space and any mold and crevice so that you can lead whatever industry that you're a part of.
That's exactly it. So it molds the mind. Conversations with non-engineers, and it might come so logical for you as to the steps to be taken to address a particular matter. But it's just second nature for us now as we interact with the other areas.
So, and I think for persons, engineers are viewed as bad communicators, as a myth, because they think so logically that sometimes when they speak, it's just like, why can't you get what I'm saying? It literally makes so much sense. So certain soft skills that we hope to have more engineers have, like maybe communication and, you know, understanding people and doing certain things, because so many engineers think so logically, sometimes they're just like, we're trying to be efficient. My mind works efficiently, so I don't see the need of doing this, and that. So I want to go into a question in that regard. What are your thoughts for engineers to learn different skills outside of engineering, like soft skills, and are those skills helpful and applicable to them as an engineer?
It is a must. You know, coming up with a solution is great. Being able to communicate that solution is even more important. And it is for that reason why they even created an MBA. An MBA was designed to assist an engineer with those, because when you look at a course of engineering study, it's just very intense and very, very narrow. Those skills that Janelle mentioned that would translate well in the real world are not enhanced. So that complementary studies in those areas, and I'll tell you why. The civil engineer, the output is a drawing, right? This is what we're gonna do. You can see it. In fact, you can even build a model. Mechanical engineers, you know, young Michael can build a model car and say, this is it. The chemical, you can taste the beer. Say, yes, this is the product. And industrial, how do you communicate as an electrical and computer engineer the end result? You see, there's no drawing, you know, to say, oh, this is the drawing, go and build that. Right? Especially for the computer, the IT. It's ones and zeros, you know, it's
binary.
Yeah. So the how they view the software or the final product to work, it's all here. And translating that to tell people that it's a good idea, it's a good solution that we should be investing in as a company, can be a bit challenging, because you can't put it on paper. You have to try and describe it.
So those skills would be important to essentially sell them or sell what they're trying to give to the clients.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, cool. It's been a good session. Well, wait, before, I think I have one more question though. Engineer Eclipse. Speak a little bit more on like a work-life balance, right? You know, engineers are typically ones behind the table or in the field, work. You know, is there a work-life balance for the engineer?
Only the civil one has work-life balance.
Only the civil engineer. That sounds
I know, because the other Friday I went to a mechanical line and they weren't any mechanical engineers. It was just the civil.
That's not true. There are a few mechanical engineers.
Oh, were you there, sir?
I personally wasn't able to be there.
Okay, do you know of any mechanical engineer?
Do.
Oh, which one?
The very chairman of the mechanical division.
Okay, well, thank God for her.
And a few others.
But the work-life balance, it's important for all, irrespective of what your profession is. You come this way once, and you must try to leave it better than you found it. So, being a part of projects that have a social implication and contributing into society to make the lives of people better, that is something that we all should endeavor to do. Certainly family life, you can't work in all hard and not being able to enjoy your time with your family. And so it's important that we try to have a balance. We're engineers, you should be able to manage your schedule, program it. There's a time for everything. And when it's family time, it's family time. When it's work time, it's work time. Right? And you set good routines. Yeah, you don't have to be on your phone. You put down your phone and you spend time and it's interesting. What does the future hold? So, if even when you go out, if you do go out, and you're at a restaurant and you look at a group of people and they're all engaged on a phone, but they're out, eh? But they're not really out. They're checking their phones. And I'm wondering what's going to happen to us as a society, because the art of conversation might be lost. People are used to texting and so forth, and you see the rise of technology being the means by which persons will now find a lifelong companion. So gone are the days you go on an app and you type in the companion and it gives you option. Is that really the future?
Unfortunately, it is what's happening currently.
So it's going to be a different world. As I look back, I'm born 1977, and I said, look at it now. So when I recall watching movies at home, and my father would get a projector, so it had the big reels, and you put the sheet on the screen, and then you had VCR, but you had a big back TV, so you had big back TV, and then I remember a computer. I had a Commodore. You're too young to know a Commodore. And even video games was like one screen and they changed the screen with different things. And okay, I would have never thought. And the most fanciest thing I had on my wrist, you guys have, what do you call it, Apple Watch?
Yeah, the Apple Watch.
I had a Casio and a calculator. I could store phone numbers. Yeah. And that was, I said, wow, that was technology at its best. And the phone, you had it at home. I had a party line, some of us. So you take up the phone and you hear a neighbor talking, I say, "Oi, From mine upon the phone, me want to make a call too. But now you have your own phone, right? I think I know that's a wrapping up signal. So you have your own phone that can watch television. Your own phone that can create movies. There are full-length movies that have been created with phones. Right? So I mean, I'm wondering, where next will the technology take us?
True. There's so many possibilities that are out there. I mean, what we've achieved now kind of gives us hope that we can achieve so much more, and the possibilities are endless at the end of the day.
And it's always good when it's put to good. Finally, open heart surgery used to break through your rib. You know how much liters of blood needed, cut the heart. Now they go, the camera goes in, fix you up back, and the next day out.
Very easy.
So the future. So I don't know. Are we gonna really be living like the Jetsons?
We'll see.
Maybe. Hopefully that would be cool. That would actually be cool.
Yeah. I hear Michael wants to go to the moon.
We'll see. For engineering purposes.
For engineering purposes. You do know that astronauts are engineers.
So I want to be.
Yes. An astronaut.
We'll see. We'll see what the future holds for me in engineering as well. Alright? But we'll take a final break for a final break for a very interesting conversation. So we'll be back.
Contractors, do you need area lift equipment? MJ Tools and Equipment gives you affordable rental rates for man and scissors lifts, 3-ton roller compactors, skid steers, and more. For info, call 876-772-8116 or visit mjequipmentrental.com. MJ Tools and Equipment, lifting you higher.
Welcome back. We've been having a riveting discussion with Engineering Walters. Now we're going to have him just give our closing remarks to end the podcast on a high note.
All right, thank you. I must say I'm pleased to be the first guest. I'm not really a pod type of person, but I'll check it out. And it's good to see how the current council is really putting engineering out there and trying to attract our members and new members. So I think it's a good initiative. And I did give you some nice future topics. I think I think ethical engineering, I think that would be a good one.
Definitely. We will definitely look into that, Engineering Walters. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. Right? Follow us on our different social medias, JIE Jamaica, and look out for more episodes from us, right? So follow us at JIE Jamaica. That's on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, and look out for the different channels that we'll be releasing our podcast, right? This is it from us.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being here. We hope to see you in the next podcast.
All right. My name is Michael James.
My name is Janelle Crawford, and we're signing out now.